If you've ever said, are we fighting about this again? Then this video is for you. Look, a lot of times in your marriage, you're talking about, fighting about, arguing about the same topic, the same argument, the same ending, the same thing. You know what I'm talking about? Nothing changes. Look, most marriages, they don't fail because couples fight. That's normal. But they do fail because nothing gets repaired. Because that just gets annoying, right? And when we don't repair these things, this resentment starts to build up and it destroys the relationship. And in this video here, I'm going to show you why this repeated arguments are happening and why it's slowly creating this serious disconnect and how we can break the cycle. Because look, most couples, what do they think? We just don't communicate well, or we're just very different personalities. That's why we're just totally opposites. Or it's just because one of us is stubborn, right? Like, this could be a part of it, but that's not the whole story. The problem is not disagreement or you being different. The problem is unresolved pain and tension that is coming out, and it's just like you're being triggered and you're like kind of vomiting on each other and like, okay, I feel better, or you're just protecting yourself and it's not creating anything. It kind of looks like this. It looks like you keep bringing up the same issues. And this can be like for months, days, it can be years in some relationships, right? Like keep bringing up the same thing. Like, come on, I know I messed up there. Why do you keep bringing that up, right? And like no apology can ever change it. You have this temporary peace. It's like, okay, things are going, then it gets brought up again. Then the same issue returns. You know what I'm talking about? You argue, then you cool off and you move on, and then nothing is actually resolved because you come back to the same freaking thing. Look, every marriage that I've seen, I've been doing this for over 20 years in over 25 nations, every marriage gets stuck and follows the same path. What happens? A problem shows up, right? That brings up their emotions, of course, right? And then somebody, don't blame, gets defensive, they defend, and then somebody shuts down, right? And then that repair, that real talking about it, dealing with it, reconciling it, never happens. So then what happens? The issue resurfaces it again. It's like going to your backyard and there's a weed there and you just cut it. It's going to come back up again, right? You're not taking it from the root. So over time, frustration turns into resentment. Resentment turns into that distance. That distance turns into indifference. And we just learn how to live with it. This is super dangerous, right? And it's not that like, oh, it's because we're very different, Richard, and we're not compatible anymore. We're just growing apart. That's not what it is. It's not that, it's just they're just impossible, Richard. Like I just can't deal with them. It's not that, I promise you. The real issue is that you were never shown how to repair conflict properly. Think about it. Most couples are not taught how to argue. They're taught that arguing is bad. Conflict is bad. You need to either defend yourself. It's like fight or flight, right? No. We're never taught how to argue. So almost none are taught to repair after they argue. So come on, both of those things together. So the problem is not the conflict. The problem is lack of structure and knowing. And when you don't have that structure, every argument turns into emotional hurt and chaos. And that chaos turns into what? It produces like we're never clear. We're never good. We're never connected. This is what it does. How do we change this? So this is where I'm going to ask you for permission to coach you. Yes? Can you guys put into the comments here if you guys are still watching? It's like, yes, coach me. Like, what do I do with this? Like, I'm going to give you something very practical. Not easy, but simple. After every argument, remember, we're talking about how to not allow that tension to build up and create this division. Like, how do we heal as we go? So after every argument, not if, but when you argue, right? After, like, this is what I want you to ask. Ask this. What was the real issue underneath that? So we just fought. You go and you think like, what was the real issue underneath that? Not the surface topic. Okay, I'm talking about like the fear, the insecurity, the unmet need. Like see the deeper issue of where it's coming from, then agree to one small change. Right? So first think of this yourself, and then you can, and if you're not all heated and fighting and you're able to at least listen a little bit, you can ask them the question. After you fought, like, hey, I want to understand, like, what is at the core of this? Like, what's underneath this? Like, once you get understanding there, you can now figure out like one little change that I can do so I can start making a difference, right? Like don't try to solve everything, especially in the middle of a fight. It's not about, okay, let me fix everything right here. That's not what it is. Repair happens after emotions cool down, right? So sometimes you do need to let it cool down so you can fully repair. So schedule, plan a repair conversation, right? And I would do it before bed, a repair conversation before bed. The Bible says don't go to sleep angry, right? So that keeps resentment from stacking. We don't want it to stack. The enemy comes in and really brings division. Look, your conflict, we need to understand who the enemy is and what the enemy is. Conflict is not the enemy. So don't allow your brain to get defensive or reactive when there's a conflict. That's not the enemy. Unprepared conflict is, right? So if you're just reacting and you don't have a system here, then yeah, it can create a big problem. But every unresolved argument leaves this like emotional residue that makes you highly sensitive and reactive, right? That residue, because there was unresolved issue there, right? That residue that's there, it creates tension, defense. It creates a distance. But when you start to heal, when you start to communicate, it clears that residue and it clears the triggers of the defense mechanisms. Now we have a more enjoyable relationship, a more peaceful home, right? And but look at, you have to be willing. This is where I ask you, like, and don't wait like, well, if they're willing, then I'll do it. If they do it, then I'll do it. It's 50-50, right? No. You must be willing to take responsibility. I mean, even 10%, 5%, 1%, right? But repair requires humility. I would want you to go to 100%, but I know a lot of times when there's heat, when there's tension, you're like, well, yeah, but no, like I get it. But can you have a little bit? If both people wait for the other person to fix their part, nothing's going to change. Leadership in marriage means I'll go first. Love in marriage means I will go first. I will lay down my life to do this and connect. And it doesn't mean you're not going to still share the boundaries that they cross or the hurt that they created. You're still going to talk about it. But communication matters. Emotional connection matters. Respect matters. But even if all three of these things are there, okay? If you have, great communication, you're emotionally connecting, you have respect there. So let's say you have all those three things in your relationship. If you stop investing efforts intentionally, consistently, that marriage is still going to fade and die. You need to keep plugged in. So in the final episode, I'm talking about the 5 biggest mistakes that destroy relationships. This is the 4th. And the last one, we're going to be talking about, we stop trying. And you can do all these things, but then you can stop trying and you can start creating these problems again. So in the next episode, we're going to talk about why do people stop trying and what does that do? So look, if you're tired of having the same argument over and over, this is what I ask you to do, okay? Go to my description. There's a free assessment in there. It takes like 2 minutes. But it's going to show you where the patterns are stuck in your relationship. It's going to show you what type of conflict style that you have and that you can fix. What needs attention first in your relationship, right? This clarity is going to break a lot of the patterns and cycles that are creating a lot of problems. Because like, if you realize you don't just need awareness, you need structure, right? And if you guys need more structure, more accountability, then I have a 30-day marriage reset. It's going to give you clear structure, steps. It's not a bunch of therapy talk. It's not that. But I would still recommend you to start with the assessment so you know where you stand. And then let's do the 30-day reset to really reset your marriage. Look, let me close it with this. Your relationship, okay? It doesn't explode overnight. Like it takes a lot of unresolved tension, things that are sitting there but when you let it sit there, it becomes harder to heal. So don't wait. Don't panic either, but let's pivot. Let's prepare. Yes? So bless you guys. Go check out that. Go look at the other parts of the series as well, because there's a lot of good value. These are the 5 biggest mistakes, the biggest things that destroy our marriages. Okay, so I'll see you in the next episode.